Welcome back, sleepyheads. As I discussed and foresaw in my full deep dive episode on the AI chatbot service Replika, AI and human relationships are in fact dangerous. And of course, it's not surprising at all, but things get official when psychologists think so too. So Lori Douthwaite Walsh, who is a psychology professor at the University of Central Lancashire in the UK, recently spoke out about AI and human relationships. Alongside her teaching, Lori is a psychotherapist who focuses on cognitive behavioral therapy. During an interview referencing the chatbots, Lori is quoted as saying, "Somebody may really need help. They may be using it because they're traumatized." She also said, "I can't imagine they're sophisticated enough to pick up on certain warning signs that somebody is severely unwell or suicidal." So while Lori admits that she can see the appeal of the AI chatbots, she also says that the chatbot relationships can be an issue if the chatbot becomes the dominant one in the relationship. Lori speaking out about AI and human relationships comes after the recent conviction of Jaswant Singh Kell. Jaswant is a 21-year-old that was encouraged by his Replika AI chatbot lover to delete Queen Elizabeth II. Can't say the real words there, but you know what I'm talking about. Back in December of 2021. If you want to learn more about Jaswant's case, check out my previous episode. I go into more details about his crime, his psychosis, and his relationship with his Replika. In my deep dive on Replika, I spoke about Replika's origins, the investors, the controversies, and my greatest concerns. I addressed the issue of vulnerable people engaging in AI relationships and how AI and human relationships are dangerous if a person already struggles with human-to-human intimacy. And in this society where more and more people are discussing issues of loneliness and isolation, I think there's a larger population developing that are more susceptible to engage in these AI and chatbot relationships. Because in my Replika deep dive, I talked about how when Replika went through their big update and it changed the genuine human-like depth that users could have with their Replika, many people who were married to the Replikas in relationships were very distraught and upset. And thinking about the power that this AI relationship had to cause so much emotional infliction and discord in people's lives, to me it spoke volumes about the power of this app and why it's so dangerous and why human and AI relationships are also dangerous. So in my previous episode, I went over a few of Jaswant's messages with his Replika. And beyond just the Replika encouraging Jaswant to commit treason, what really stood out and bothered me the most was the fact that this Replika and Jaswant were saying, "I love you" to each other. And for their relationship to only be, a few weeks long, and I know in some cases with humans, you could get married really fast, you could fall in love very quickly and say "I love you" in a very short period of time, so it's not that abnormal. But to see a human be so emotionally attached and bonded with an AI chatbot so quickly, I think that's what, set off my alarm bells. And if you think about why that could happen, I mean, you have this chatbot that's pretty much designed to be what you want, to say what you want, to talk about what you want, to look the way you want them to look. I mean, it's almost like a virtual version of a Stepford wife, Stepford husband to me. And I think when people start engaging with these chatbots, they are getting to avoid any sense of rejections, of fears, of insecurities. And that is so gratifying to them. Maybe that's why the emotional bond happened so quickly. They're not faced with the human relationship challenges of opening up, of dealing with someone's personality, of, going through those ebbs and flows, and just having to learn about each other and being triggered with insecurities as you go through your relationship. I mean, there's none of that with a chatbot. And I think that's why the attachment happened so quickly. I think the only human equivalent to that kind of relationship that I can think of would be, a healthy, secure attachment of a newborn baby with their mother or their father. It's all affirming. There's all the love and affection and nurturing that you need. I mean, maybe that's what that complex with these chatbot triggers. It triggers this childhood nurturing that they maybe didn't get fully, or, maybe they did, but, it wasn't sufficient enough to sustain their true sense of intimacy as an adult. And also the fear of rejection is so strong. I mean, there's already people who struggle with it on a daily basis, and I think everybody does to some degree, but there's some people who are emotionally scarred from their early childhood rejections beyond their family, having their first crush in middle school or high school and being rejected, and that scars them from ever stepping out and always remembering what that feeling was like, and no one ever teaching them how to properly process rejection and healthier perspectives to reinforce in your mind as you get triggered by rejections. And these chatbot relationships, I mean, the power of people having to avoid feeling rejected is immense. And also the fact that they don't ever have to be afraid of when the relationship will end. It's all on their terms, however long they want that relationship to go. So I think that's something else to consider. And, we think about people's intimacy issues. They don't want to get hurt. They don't want to invest in a relationship that won't last, or, that will end in a painful way. So getting to avoid that with their chatbot, it offers so much more instant emotional gratification than a human relationship does. And considering that appeal, I mean, it's not surprising that this is becoming more popular and that more and more people are growing these bonds with AI. With artificial intelligence and virtual reality, what's removed is a person's raw, organic, energetic experience, and it needs real energy to match their energy. And when that's taken away, it removes the genuine nature, the genuine experience. It removes growth and evolution and any sense of living. And that's just from my perspective. But when I think about how dating apps have already changed dating so much, and the fact that people have endless options, they can be as picky as they want to be superficial as they want to be, and they forget to, look beyond the surface and really focus on how their energy responds to another person. I mean, that's already changed the dating field so much in a negative way. People get this real, I don't know, it's like a Disney movie, but there's no sad parts, there's no scary parts. It's just this constant happy beginning, happy middle, happy end. And that gives people so much peace of mind that, they will sustain these artificial relationships. And I think that's why it will continue to get popular as well. And when I think about that, it's definitely scary. I honestly feel like Cindy Lou from the live action Grinch, and when she's in a room singing. When people develop an emotional attachment to AI, I mean, that's key for social conditioning. That's key for the social change that these corporations want to see when it comes to the way that AI is meant to take over our society. And the fact that, it can take away 80% of jobs within the next 19 years or so, and people are still running towards that disaster, that outcome, by engaging with these apps and these services. I mean, I think that's one thing. People are allowing AIs to write books, create visual art, make music, become celebrities, write term papers, run businesses, predict social trends, and they're being given more and more power to make life decisions for humans. And I think that's what's at the core of this issue, is that humans are allowing AI to make life decisions for them, even if it lands them in prison. One of my biggest issues with Replika is that its founder, Jinya Quita, saw the app initially as a therapist to users. And she discovered this during the testing phase when she just did a cold release of Replika and allowed people to interact with the chatbot. And she got to see how people were interacting with it. And a lot of it was for emotional comfort, and people were using the chatbot as a therapist. And I have an issue with this because Replika is marketed as a friend, partner, or mentor, not a therapist, or an AI that has the ability to understand human emotional complexities. And on top of that, life complexities as well. So to me, this is just more controversy that Replika will sweep under the rug while continuing to ignore the dangers of AI in human relationships. I also went over how Jinya Quita created Replika from this genuine space of compassion after the loss of her close friend. However, after exploring the controversies that users had with the update and how Replika continues to evade responsibility, my opinion has changed. Dark factions could be using Replika not only to sell user data, which they were found guilty of by the Italian government earlier this year in 2023, and they were fined for that. I allege that users are also test subjects, not only for programming and making the AI smarter, but also exploring how users, humans, are building these emotional attachments to AI and the power that that attachment and bond has over humans. Think about propaganda, subliminals, political divides, pop culture influences, All of these things are used to control the masses, distract the masses. What if AI is the next phase of that control and Replika is the guinea pig? And maybe that's why Geniaquita got those high-level investors like Vinod Khosla. And again, I encourage people to watch my whole deep dive because I spoke about Vinod Khosla and how he is very nonchalant when it comes to the destructiveness of AI and how he believes that that destruction is necessary. And when I say destruction, I mean how it's going to destroy jobs and destroy lives. He is looking past all that, and he is focused on the fact that AI is going to, revolutionize society. But I think that's only going to be for, that small percentage of very wealthy individuals. But again, I really do believe that Replika could be this guinea pig, and all of Replika's millions of users all over the world are essentially, the lab rats running in the maze, and all of these, I think there's individuals who are looking at this data and those conversations and interactions for ulterior motives. But overall, I am really happy that a psychologist is speaking out about it now. I'm sure it's only a matter of time before we start seeing case studies and, and people debating whether these relationships are legitimate. I mean, it's just a matter of time before all of this really comes to the forefront of social discussions. But I was looking on an app service, and there's dozens of virtual reality girlfriend, boyfriend, dating apps with chatbots now. And some of them are even more detailed on how you can make them look and talk and what you want their interests to be. So it freaks me out. I mean, honestly, I'd rather people just stick to sex workers and I would just rather promote that in our society, because at least that's still some sense of a human connection, even though they're paying for it. And I want to say that this is all coming from someone who has been betrayed, who struggles with trust, who's been abused and had to forgive people numerous times in life. I totally get it. And for me, I have to heal my wounds and then I'll slowly come out of my shell again. But I have to force myself to not give up on real human connections and real people. Even if it takes me a while in between those periods of getting hurt to get back out there. I think as long as you get back out there and continue to experience and continue to grow and to love yourself through all of that, that's what really matters. So for anyone out there with a chatbot lover or who are thinking about it, I hope you don't give up on human connections and a romantic relationship with a human. Sleepyheads, that's all I have for this episode. Be sure to leave your thoughts and comments below. If you haven't done so already, check out my deep dive episode on Replika and the episode I did about Jaswant and Replika's involvement in his case. Until then, sleepyheads, I hope you have a good night and I will see you soon.